Hello and welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. My name is Greg Deckler, and today I'm going to be showing you, well, hopefully some tips on how to get your questions answered in the forums. Okay, I'm going to be doing that by hopefully answering this individual's question in the forums. Right, so basically what you have here is this person. Now, oh, wait, before we do anything, look, they're promoting the March 2024. It's dead. The April 2024 update came out like 2 days ago. It's already dead, Microsoft. This is dead. So why are you promoting this? It lasted for an entire like 10 days that this March 2024 update was actually valid before April came out. So anyway, sorry. I get distracted easily. Squirrel. So anyway, so this person asked this question, single filter for two columns. Single filter for two columns, which actually describes the problem relatively well. That's not always the case in the forums. You get some really weird things that people put in, and then the actual text is way off. So I can actually understand what this person's trying to do. Basically, they have two columns, yes, and they want to have a single filter for like the users, and they want to see all the tickets for that user, whether or not they're in this column or that column. All right, easy enough, right? But they don't provide any sample data, at all or anything else. So you just kind of have to guess. And you get a lot of these kind of questions, right? So usually if I live by the rule. I live by a couple of rules. One is I'd rather teach the fish than, spoon feed people. And two, I'm going to put as much effort in answering the question as the person does in posting the question. So if they post like some really vague, stuff, then I'll send them a link and send them on their way. Or the dreaded, go read how to get your question answered quickly because I don't have any clue what you're trying to tell me. And this one actually has both. So what they need here is they need a complex selector. If they want to see only the rows that have an assigned to or an assigned by of the same person's name, then they have that in a table, right? And they just want to see those rows, and they need what's called a complex selector, which basically just returns a 1 or a 0, depending on whether you want to see that row or not, right? So I give them, so I say, okay, point them to the complex selector, and then I actually give them an example of a complex selector, right? And then I give the dreaded, otherwise I have no idea what you're talking about, and you should go read this post, so that you actually, provide all the information that's necessary, and blah, blah, blah. So now, I mean, I'm just gonna be honest, 9 times out of 10, this is probably where my participation ends, right? Okay, I pointed them in the right direction. You only have so much time to spend on the forums. So, I want to get as many questions answered, get as many people pointed in the right direction as possible with the time I have available to me, because it's all volunteer time, people. I just do this because I don't know why. I'm a glutton for punishment. So anyway, but they did a couple things right. Okay, so one, they added me. If you don't add me, the odds of me following up on your forum posts become next to nothing. It's very rare, because if you see my notifications red, man, it's just thing after thing after thing. If I'm on there, it's just tons of messages that I get, right? So if you don't at me, it doesn't stand out in my thread. It's just noise. Okay, so did that right. And they also posted sample data. Now, and the complaint being, and they actually put, okay, here's my sample data. Here's the output I'm looking for. Those are great things to do. And here's, this other thing that I did, right? Okay, so I was feeling generous today. I don't know. Can you? Okay, this guy did some stuff right. It stood out in my channel. I followed back up. I'm like, all right, can you post it as sample data as text? So they did. Here's my sample data. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to hopefully solve this person's problem live on screen. So I don't know how this is going to go. This is completely unscripted, but I'm going to just show you what I do. So let's see here. I got to bring up I'm going to open up. I always have PowerBI open. It's on a different screen. Let me bring it up here. I'm going to open up a brand new PBX file. Right, so it's loading. And this isn't a bad computer, people. It's just, I tell you, Things are slow these days with Power BI. And I'm not just talking about them getting preview features out. Okay, so we've got our untitled, Power BI desktop file here. Things have already finally loaded in. First thing we're going to do, we're going to bring up an enter data query, and we're going to paste this in, right? And this always happens for whatever reason, but that's fine. We'll just do that. We do this, we delete it. Boom. Okay, so there we have it. And I should just be able to load this. It looks like everything should convert over just fine. So, applying changes, creating the table. Okay, so what they want their output to be is basically, let's see, what was the order they had it in? Let's see what they want their output to be. Okay, ticket ID, assigned to, assigned by, assigned group. It doesn't really matter. We're just going to throw some stuff in here. All right, so let's go back to here, back to here. Ticket ID. No, we don't count. We want it in a table, right? And we don't want to summarize. Okay, assigned to, assigned by group, product, blah, 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 blah. There we go. And we hate this. Submit date. Okay, so here's what they want their output to be, but now they have a table that they want to select a user, and that needs to be a slicer essentially. So what we're going to do is we are going to create a calculated table, modeling, new table. All right, so I'm going to call it the users table equals, no, I hate that. Stop it. Oh, I hate you. Okay, users, we're going to do a distinct, right? And we need to get, table assigned by. We need to union that together with a distinct of table. I cannot type today. I'm actually not used to working on this particular screen. So assign to, right? And we do a union between those. So we're adding those two together, and then we're doing distinct across it. What we should end up with is a users table that has all of the distinct values from both of those columns, right? And we don't really care what it's, we could always rename it if we wanted to. So I decided to do assign by, probably because that was the last one that was in there. But if we wanted to fix that, we could. And since we're doing this, select columns. And I wonder if is that getting everybody? Well, first off, let's escape out of that. Are we getting everybody assigned by, or is it doing something crazy that we don't like? So John Doe, we have Alex David. Alex David is in assigned by, but not in assigned to. Let's check to see if this is right. Alex David is there, so yes, it's doing what we want it to do, which means that all we have to do is do a select columns. And then we can do user, assigned by. I suppose we should check the other way. We have Amy Stiller. Nope, that's there. David Warner. David Warner is not over here, but they are in here. Do they appear here? David Warner. Yes, there he is. Okay, so we're all good. All right. So now we have this. We can use that as our slicer. So what we can do here, we can create a slicer. We can do users, create a user. There we go. And his example, I believe he wanted to use John Doe. So if you do that, of course, it doesn't do anything because there's no relationship between any of this. And that's kind of what we want. We want a disconnected table. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, I wonder if my measure will actually just work just right out of the box. We'll see how close I got it to by just literally just guessing. on what the DAX should look like. So let's go over here, create a new measure, paste it in. Oh, user's user. Other than that, everything's perfect. Hit the enter key. And if I shrink this up, some days, it's a struggle, people. All right, so in theory, we add our measure here. Okay, look, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. John Doe, John Doe, John Doe, John Doe. So we're literally the solution I gave this individual worked perfectly. All they would have to do is change a few like table names and that sort of stuff. So what you do then, obviously, with complex selector is we take our measure here, we say is 1, apply the filter, poof, and there it is, right? And you don't have to display this. You can shrink this up, or it actually doesn't even have to be in the table, right? We can delete it, and just as long as the measure is 1, it's going to work just fine. So anyway, so yeah, I mean, and I've been seeing a ton of this complex selector logic going on here, where I mean, I'm just referring to the complex selector a ton of times. And then obviously we'd want to do this because our total is wrong. Of course, the total is wrong. Anyway, so no reason to have that total. So now I'm going to do is I'm going to save this, right? Save and complex selector yet again. Save that right into our, I think I saved it in the right spot. Save as. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so yeah, my power. So you can see, I mean, this is where I keep all my files. You can see, as I go through and create solutions for people, there's a ton of them. Right? And they go back for years and years and years. So there it is. Now what we're going to do is we're going to shut that down, take a look at this last message here, reply. Thanks for the data. See attached PBIX file, which basically implements the complex selector I posted originally. But it just named that table user instead of users. Oh, it'll work perfectly. Oh well, never mind. Doesn't really matter. And we gotta go down here to Power BI. And let's see, complex selector yet again. Put that up there, reply. And there it is. So you should be able to download that and hopefully follow along. So yeah, that's basically how I answer forum questions. Now I don't know how long this video is yet. We've probably been on here close to 10 minutes or so, or maybe a little more. So I mean, it does take time, people. I mean, it takes time, and so the easier you make it on me, and not just me, but all the other fine folks out there that answer forum questions for people. And it takes time and effort to do it, people. And the easier you make it, right? If I don't have to type all this information in, right, or recreate data from scratch, because I can guarantee you I'm not going to do it. And except for in like very simple cases where I can be like, oh, I can create this, do an enter data query and create like these 3 lines and poof, and then do it in no big deal. But the easier you make it on the people that are trying to help you in your forum questions, the quicker that you're going to get an answer, and actually get an answer. So hopefully this solves this individual's problem, whether they or not they mark my solution as a solution or not, I don't really care. But hopefully it helps other people out there that have a similar problem. They'll be able to search on the internet and be able to find a solution with a PBX file and be able to follow along, and it helps the entire community out, right? So that's all I had for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.